Welcome back. Well, Mercedes, so far we have covered a lot in my childhood, and
Mhm.
there's a lot to unpack
There
there.
is. There is. Just a few things.
Yep.
Yeah. So coming back to it, the areas you have touched on are eating disorders, depression, body
Mhm.
image, self-esteem, sexual abuse trauma, and still these are significant concerns today, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And with that, I'm going to read some information, some
Go
stats
for it.
that I think are interesting because it isn't just something that was a real problem when I was a teenager. People
It's
today of all ages
all
are dealing with.
genders. Yeah.
Yeah. So in any given year, the stats say that 1 in 5 people in Canada will personally experience a mental health problem or illness. And by age 40, about 50% of the Canadian population will have or have had a mental illness. Now, major depression affects approximately 5.4% of the Canadian population, and anxiety disorders affect 4.6% of the population.
Hmm.
Now, this one obviously personal to me, eating disorders
Yeah.
affect approximately 1 million Canadians, 1 million Canadians, almost 1% of the population. This impacts women at a rate of 10 times more than men and has the highest rate of mortality of any mental illness. And I think that's really
This-
important to
Yeah.
point out that, whether it's from starving yourself to the point where your heart stops, or
Yeah.
whether it is binging and purging and you end up
Nutrition
having cardiac
deficiency.
arrest
Yeah.
or thoughts of suicide,
Hmm.
it, it can
Everything.
cause death.
Yeah.
And 30% of all women aged 15 or older report experiencing sexual assault at least once
Which
in
is
their life.
horrible.
And lastly, among sexual assaults where an accused was charged by the police, 87% of the victims or survivors knew their assailants.
Yeah, just horrible. Now, as your daughter, I know that you've also struggled with firsthand seeing you struggle with these health issues from dealing with migraines. You would spend an hour at least once a day to deal with it, and you would have
Yeah.
Trin and I play by ourselves. And from looking up tons of the latest health discoveries, like
Yeah.
you should have an honorary degree. So granted, you've already dealt with multiple health issues yourself.
Hmm.
What have been some of your other health issues?
Well, actually, I'm going to read them because I have too many.
Yep.
So, besides having a wrecked immune system from the eating disorders, I
Hmm.
also end up having a very wrecked immune system because of exposure to chemicals and pollution. I
Yeah.
refinished antique furniture for a couple of years, and in the 90s, when they were talking about air quality so much, and I was one of those people that were saying,
Hmm.
stay inside. Uh, chronic sinusitis came from that, recurrent infections,
Hmm.
chronic daily migraines for 15 years, as you've already mentioned,
Yep.
fibromyalgia. I was on tetracycline for 4.5 years to help control my acne,
Yep.
which of course broad spectrum antibiotic killed off all the good gut flora that I had and created a major overgrowth of candida.
Mhm.
At 21, I had both my ankles broken in a double bone spur operation removal.
Which you had to relearn how to
Yeah, I
walk.
had to learn how to walk all over again.
Yep.
And I had undiagnosed mild scoliosis of the spine, mixed with falls and former car accidents, gave me regular back discomfort. And I
Hmm.
had military spine where my vertebrae were going the wrong way. And this gave me chronic migraines, which would trigger aura migraines. So I had chronic common migraines, but then
Yeah.
I could get aura
So you
migraines.
had double migraines.
Yeah, and I had
Yeah.
to be careful with long driving with my arms up or lifting stuff because that could trigger the aura migraines as well.
Hmm.
Then later on in life, I developed dairy and gluten allergies. And I also want to say, when I was pregnant with you and with your sister, I had 3 rounds of sinus infections in my first trimester,
Hmm.
and I had to go on antibiotics 3 times. And my doctor was very upset about that and said that I couldn't stay on antibiotics through the whole pregnancy. And even though back then they didn't have any research done on pregnant women with antihistamines, I had to go on antihistamines.
Mm.
So I did that as well. And now I struggle with leaky gut, SIBO, and I have entered the wonderful world of menopause. Yes.
Don't you sound like you've had a lot of fun?
So much fun. Yes, so much fun.
And of course, as your daughter, as you mentioned, all the things you had to do when you were pregnant with me, I've also had my own round of health issues. So it's okay.
Yes. Well, listen, we're going to have to take a break there, and we're going to be right back with some more answers for you.